the Baylor University College and Career Center, and she's going to talk to us more about job and internship search.
Yes, hi guys. Thanks so much for having me. I am excited to be here with you guys and am here as a resource, so please feel free to ask all the questions. There is no bad questions in this, even if you feel silly. Feel free to drop them in the chat at any point in time. I generally just with Zoom, it's hard to kind of talk over people. Sometimes it doesn't pick up, so chat is the easiest way to get my attention. Today we're going to kind of talk about different approaches to the job search or internship search, and just the different resources that we as the Career Center have for you guys. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Career Center, we basically help you guys with everything, preparing you and everything beyond your Baylor undergraduate career. So whether that's grad school, med school, a job, an internship, a fellowship opportunity, we are here to help you guys, military. So we kind of do a wide range of things, whether it's cover letter, resume reviews, personal statements, mock interviews. Right now is med school interviews season, so we are doing a ton of those. We are just here to prepare you guys. So if you have a question or feel like we may not work in that area of expertise, like please just ask, because the chances are if it's to help you set up for future success, we do that. So if you guys don't have any questions out of the gate, we can go ahead and get started. I am going to kind of screen share back and forth a few different resources. I'll start with a PowerPoint, and then we'll kind of go into different things that the Career Center has. Sound good? All right. So let's start here. And if at any point in time you guys cannot see my screen, just let me know and we will go from there. I will try to fix it. So I kind of went through the overview of what the Career Center does. This is our mission statement. We are just here to help you guys reach your potential, whatever that looks like, or however you define that. The overview, so these are just kind of some things that we're talking about today. Insert job search into that internship line. So why career planning is important, why internships are important, why networking is a huge piece of all of that, and how we can assist you in all of that. So this is just a silly game that we can click on. I am assuming that most of you guys have an idea. If you do not have an idea of your career path, that is totally fine. This silly game is just kind of an example of, you click on it and it literally just spits out random careers. So if we're not, focused, or if we're not trying to aim somewhere, then we could just kind of end up in a random career, even though you guys do have a lot of education and college degrees. So we really want to make sure that we have a target that we're focused on, right? Okay, let's see. So the Career Center, we use Handshake as kind of our focal point for everything we do. That's kind of our hub. So whether you're wanting to schedule one-on-one appointments with your career coach, whether you're wanting to access our resources, or whether you're wanting to access over 10,000 jobs and interviews all over the country and world, actually, it's all housed in Handshake. And we also have tons of events, employer events, things that you guys can just kind of check out at any point in time. We will come back to Handshake later as we just kind of go through the rest of the presentation. So why internships are important. I'm not sure the age, I'm sure we have a first, it's a wide range of student population, right? So not just seniors, juniors. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but my initial knowledge of bursts is that you guys have all grades. So some of you will be looking for internships, which are super valuable. But the number one statistic whenever we gather our data at the end of each semester, each year, seeing where students go and what they're doing post-grad and how we can help them, the number one indicator of a success is students having an internship. So they are up to 30 times quicker to getting a job because they have it on their resume than those students that do not have an internship. So it's a huge benefit just to have on your resume, and for you guys to know, what does what does this career do? And would I be interested? It's a lot easier to commit to a 6-week, 6-month, however long internship than sign up for a job and then find out that you're miserable with it. So it's really just kind of firsthand experience in the field that you're interested in. And if you do it right, you can gain a lot of insight before you actually go into that field and kind of decipher, do I want this or do I not? So yeah, that last bullet, internships can help you decide what type of career to pursue. So, and if you have an internship and you hate it, like, it's okay. At least it's not a job. Like, now you know that's not the career for you, right? So again, we will go into Handshake. We have tons of internships all over the place, and I will show you guys how to access those. So networking, just on top of, you know, internships, your job search, in any type of realm, professional realm, whether it's business, healthcare, education, networking is huge. And it doesn't have to be, you know, these fancy people. Like, it's really just anybody that has jobs, anybody that's kind of in your sector or field of interest, that you can just kind of gain knowledge from. One, you can ask them questions and you can kind of get a feel for their career or their paths and see, you know, how did they get there? Was it, you know, something I would be interested in doing? Learn how to succeed in your chosen field. And of course, and I'll be honest, most of my jobs or internships that I've had have come from people that I knew in the field, and they were able to pass on my resume or, you know, give me a leg up in the process. And that's not them playing favorites, but whenever you guys are competing in such a, you know, application dense world and you've got all these people competing, it can be really helpful to have someone in that company or in that field to be like, hey, I really just would like you to look at this resume, and at least you're getting it seen. So super helpful to have those relationships, and it can enhance your success once you are in a professional field. So there's just a lot of benefits to networking, and it's not hard. It's literally just making connections, making relationships, and, you know, helping each other out along the way, whether they're in your field, in your company, or they're not. There's always, you know, a benefit to just having connections wherever you are. It also is interesting and fun. So you never know what you're going to learn, and it could open your eyes to a whole new career field that you just weren't even aware of. So always be on the lookout for those connections. So we briefly talked about it, but it doesn't have to be scary. It can literally just be friends or family in the fields. Your faculty is a wealth of knowledge that has a ton of connections, whether it's in Waco or different universities. They are super helpful, especially with bursts and research. You guys being so research oriented, they have a lot of connections that you guys should for sure tap into. Of course, LinkedIn or different career events. It doesn't have to be just Baylor career events. Tons of employers or networks host career things all the time. We can kind of talk about different ways to get involved with those as we move forward. But yeah, there's always room for connections, and, you know, even your burst colleagues, your student, your fellow student colleagues, as you guys kind of go out into the world, like, that doesn't mean that's the end of these connections, right? So really kind of connect with those guys and, you know, use them in the future as you need them. So this PowerPoint was made before Career Day, but we can really help with any of those things. So we have one-on-one appointments with people. Of course, we do presentations like this on any topic you guys would like. I know Nick Haynes presented to a different sector earlier, but we have employer information sessions and different online resources, which we will get to here in just a minute. Okay, so feel free to contact us at the Career Center at any time. I'm going to drop my, I'm going to drop my email address here in the chat, and you guys can reach out at any time. We're not done yet, don't freak out, but I'm just going to give this. So if you guys have any questions moving forward or want to email me separately, you have direct access to do so. Were there any questions about the PowerPoint before we move on? Okay, how can the Career Center help with networking? That is a great question. So we personally have a ton of connections with employers. So whenever we we also have connections to the Baylor Alumni Network and different students that, work with us or love recruiting Baylor students. So, and we also are sending so many students out into the field every year. So we just naturally gain a ton of those networking opportunities, and we love to connect our students to people that are going to help them. So we have a ton of employer sessions, and it's interesting because in this COVID world, you see all these big name employers that are having these like mass virtual sessions. They're trying to, kill a lot of birds with one stone by just throwing up a Zoom screen and saying, hey, if you go to Baylor, Texas A&M, all the schools just jump on here and we're going to answer all the questions at once. And it's kind of chaotic, but yeah, they'll get over like 1,500 students on these virtual info sessions, which is kind of great for them, but they'll also do a resume Dropbox. And we have found time and time again that these employers are reaching out after those sessions to host individual sessions with Baylor students, because you guys, your resumes are better, your questions are better, you guys are just well-rounded in terms, you're kind of more prepared for that professional setting. And so then they come and host just like an individual Baylor only session. And so we take a lot of pride in our connections, and just it's a compliment to you guys for how, smart you are, how well presented you are. And so we love to connect you guys with those employers or whoever we have connections with. Next, I'm going to show you the resources that we have on Handshake. We'll kind of go through there, and I know we haven't talked a ton about the job search yet, but we are getting there, and we will kind of dig into the details with that here next. So I'm going to pull up Handshake. Hopefully all of you guys have a Handshake account. If you do not, it is just join Handshake or baylor.joinhandshake.com. You have access with your Baylor account, and there's a ton of resources on there for you. So this in particular is the science resource page. You'll see the team that serves the sciences. I am on there, of course, but we have all kinds of tools to help you prepare for the job search, internship search, and whether that's literally resume templates. You guys can download this and just fill in your resume. You can have it with or without research. We've got CV examples, CV templates, which they're very much the same. The resume and the CV is just extended. We can talk about that if you guys have questions there. But we also have a really neat tool that we're going to look at later called Job Scan. Excited to show you guys that, but we have a ton of things. If you guys are in a place where you don't know what career or internship you would like to go into, we have a very intense career assessment that I would love for you guys to take. It actually will spit out, jobs and just personality types that you align with, and it will actually give you majors at Baylor that offers that exact thing. So, and sometimes it's just like an affirmation. If you're like, hey, I think I want to go to med school, and you go take that test, and it can kind of affirm that sometimes. And sometimes it's just off the wall, and you're like, actually, that's not relevant at all. But that can also be affirming in what you're choosing for your career path. So I would love to give you guys access to any of that. We have a ton of different resources here. Explore Health Careers is a really interesting one. You can go on there and you can literally put in the number of years that you would like to be in school and the starting salary or whatever salary that you would like to make. And it will spit out all kinds of health careers that tell you what will give you that. So super interesting. What can I do with this major? It's as easy as it sounds. It's going to tell you exactly what fields or areas of particular majors that you can go into, and it'll give you some specific jobs or even job boards that you can go look at right then. So I have a lot of students that come in and they are biology majors and they decide they don't want to go to medical school, and they are like, well, what else does a biology major do? And so being able to direct them places like this and just kind of search for different careers is super helpful. So if you guys ever find yourself in that position, like, there's no need to freak out. There are plenty of opportunities that are super great jobs out there for you should you decide that your initial plans may change. Of course, we've got LinkedIn and different networking tools. LinkedIn is kind of a take it or leave it type situation. It's a great networking tool. So if you are interested in connecting with people, LinkedIn is where it's at. It is interesting for my people in healthcare, though. It's not really a player in the game. But if you're a business major, it's almost essential that you have a LinkedIn. Some people do a lot of their business on there. So it kind of just depends on who you are and what you're looking for out of it. It doesn't hurt. It can't hurt you. I would just say that if you have one, I would be careful to update it, or I would just be conscious of, hey, it needs to stay updated and it needs to just kind of uphold that professional presence that I want online, right? Job search, internship resources. So this is where we get to the good stuff. We have different opportunities on here. So we literally have a whole document with research positions for pre-health and science students. So I'm sure a lot of you guys would love to go look at that. It's multiple pages and we have a ton of links and super interesting stuff, I guess. We've got my visa jobs. So these are international jobs. You can click anywhere in the world and it's going to, one, show you the resources or the visas or applications that you have to fill out in order to apply there, but it is like only jobs that are, allowing of the visa. So super helpful for some students and just kind of makes it easier. JobX is Baylor student employment. So if you're wanting a federal work study fulfillment or just a job on campus, this is your place. And of course, we've got gap year opportunities. So that is becoming more and more of a popular phrase, that gap year, as people are going into just kind of either taking a year off or they're taking a year to gain more experience to better their resume for whatever's next. We are becoming more and more invested in those gap years. So we actually have a workshop coming up in a few weeks. If you guys are interested in that, I would love to send the information, but it's a 2-week session, or it's 2 weeks long. It's not 2 weeks long. So we've got one session on October 27th, which is a Tuesday, and then we've got another session on the 3rd, and they're both about an hour. We're going to have some students that are actually fulfilling their gap year right now, just kind of talk about it, and then we're going to talk about different options that you have and how we can help you get there. Doesn't stop there. We've got, interviewing best practices and just different tools to help you interview. Like I said, we do mock interviews all the time for students, whether it's med school, PA school, or just the job process in general. So we love to help prepare you guys and help you however we can. So now, were there any questions about any of the resources? I'm going to go into a few of them, but just wanted to kind of cover the basics of what we do here. I'll give you guys a few seconds. Okay, so I want to talk next about the jobs and the internships that are posted on Handshake. So we have at any given time over 10,000 jobs and internships on Handshake, which is a lot, right? So they're all over the globe, really. But the cool thing about Handshake is that every employer and every job has specifically, so every employer has reached out to connect with Baylor, and then every job they upload, they are specifically looking for Baylor students. So they may be having to go through the same process at other schools, of course, but the fact is they are putting in the effort to be approved by us. And so we literally go through and handpick every single job, every single employer, and make sure that it is legit for you guys and worth your time to look into or to apply to. So so my screen is going to look a little different. I can go to a student view. This is what your screen will look like. Sorry about that. Let's go to a student account. So whenever you guys get on here to look at jobs, you'll see these filters. And so you can click full-time job, internship, part-time, on campus. And then as we expand into all filters, you can kind of go through here and see. So let's look at internships. Do you guys want to be paid? I say yes. Okay, so paid roles only. We can check that maybe if it'll check. And it's being silly. Sorry about that. Okay, as you go down, you can go through some employer preferences. I wouldn't worry about work authorization stuff. Generally, this can kind of make the filter interesting because it'll really only look for like keywords in the job. So that doesn't always mean that they do or don't accept. Of course, industry, if we want to put, let's put healthcare, just to kind of see what comes up. Job function, and you guys don't have to do all these filters, but you can, of course, do as much as you want. So let's just look at different results. And we didn't even put in a location in. So of course you have the option to say, hey, Texas, New York, wherever you want to do. Let's do Texas, see what we've got. No, just kidding. I meant location. Let's just do Texas in general. Great. Okay, so notice, of course, that just because I put in the industry healthcare, that doesn't necessarily give me a healthcare job. So hope and believe pediatric therapy, that is in the healthcare industry, right? But social media marketing is probably not what you guys are looking for. So there will be a little bit of, nuances to overcome, but note the employers are in the healthcare chain. That does not necessarily mean, but you can obviously, with that search tool, you can kind of hone it in to say, hey, I'm looking for, a more healthcare related position. And of course you can kind of go through there. So there's 30 jobs, 30 internships found in Texas for healthcare. And of course you can kind of go through there and filter all the things. Jobs, it's the same thing. You can look all over the place, use any type of keywords that you want. It's a very helpful tool and can be overwhelming once you get on here and you're like, it says there's 500 jobs. Like that's, yes, overwhelming, but it's better to have those options, right, than to have 10 jobs available, so that you're all fighting for. So Handshake is neat to utilize. As we go into, you can also look at events. So this is where those employer events are going to pop up that I was telling you guys about. Next week we have, actually it was today, sorry you missed it, but the free GRE practice test. Let's see who else. Liberty Mutual, I know you guys aren't interested, but these are, different employers that come and host. We will have some research square sessions. We will have some healthcare providers get on here and say, like we've had UT Southwestern come through, Baylor Scott and White is a popular one. So just be on the lookout for those and be open to, different employers that might have something of interest for you. The next resource I wanted to share with you guys is called Career Shift. So I know I've switched tabs. Can everybody still see the screen?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Cool. So you can access this through Handshake as well, but this will take you to a whole new site. So whereas Handshake is that site, everybody's uploading and we have to approve everything. This is casting a much bigger net. So whenever you type in, let's see, you type on Google, hey, healthcare internship Texas. Whenever you type that on Google, that can be a very overwhelming ton of pages response, right? And it might show up Indeed or LinkedIn. And once you click on those, they've got jobs. Like you don't really just get a list of jobs, right? So Career Shift does that. It kind of casts the net. It gathers all of them from job boards, from employer websites, and it puts them all in one place, which is super helpful. A lot of major employers don't have a need to put their jobs on job boards, so they only upload it to their individual employer sites because that's all they need, because they don't have a need for the attention from those job boards, if that makes sense. So this Career Shift will pick up on those, and it's still going to kind of throw them all in one list. So once you get to here, you'll go to search, and of course it looks just like any other job board. You kind of type in some keywords. These down here are the most important things. If you want to do advanced, it will pop up down here. This is where you could put an option for an internship. So let's see, how about, can you guys drop a few just job titles or internship types that you want in the chat, and let's give them a search. Any locations? And let's give them a search. I'll give you all a few. Good, I like it. Okay, so let's look at a scribe position in Houston. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Okay, and then we'll do, yeah, y'all are great. Okay, let's do scribe, and then we'll go look at PA stuff, all the things. All right, so first let's do, you can do scribe or you can do medical scribe. So just, you can kind of see, you'll get a feel for what pops up. So sometimes with scribe, it can be translated to another field, right? So typically a medical scribe is going to be the most accurate. Let's look at Houston. Great. And then let's look at, sometimes the zip radius is important. Like whenever you're somewhere massive like Houston, you really don't want to be driving so far out of the way. Let's just do full-time. See what pops up. So job source, this is important. If you don't click it, it's going to pull from all websites, but just note that if you don't click all up, if you wanted to do just job boards like your Indeed or your Glassdoor, it's going to pull from there. Or if you just wanted to do employer websites. So you've already scanned Indeed, you've already scanned Glassdoor, but you want to see what people are posting that you're missing and not knowing to search. So I just encourage you to do all websites, and let's go from there. Let's see what pops up. Okay, so we've got 10 scribe jobs in Houston. So things to look at, and this, once you click on it, it will take you to that website wherever the post is and where you apply. So super useful tool, you guys. And it'll tell you, of course, location. So I want you guys to note the post date. So whenever, generally, I tell students, if it's beyond 2 weeks, I wouldn't bother applying for it. There are some employers though, like UT Southwestern, we have a contact with them, and he told us that, hey, after 1 or 2 days, like we have so many applicants that we don't, like the application still stays up, but we pretty much cut it and start pulling interviews after 2 days. So if you do apply for somewhere big, don't be discouraged if you don't hear back. If you applied, after the first 3 or 4 days of that job being posted, they likely just have an abundance. So I would say keep applying for jobs and try to catch them as early as you can. That would be my biggest tip with all of it, especially on those big medical centers that just have a lot of employee or a lot of attention and people want to work there. So lots of different options here. And of course you can, it kind of will throw in like medical assistant or, other things that are related, which is still fine. Let's see, let's look at a lab technician in Houston as well. So sometimes with this, yeah, you might get a cement lab tech. So you kind of have to, but like this one, at a fertility center, this one would be medical related. So some of them you'll have to sift through a little bit and just, but it's so much easier when it's all just in one place. And if you wanted to be, more medical is generally a hot button word here. I don't know how I just drew a line, but so let's see, these are going to be a little more medical healthcare related whenever we look at the lab tech situation. So I would encourage you guys all to, if you do not have a career shift account yet and you would like me to set you up with one, you can drop your email in the chat, or if you would like to just email me individual, I would love to get you set up with that, and it will just send you an invitation and you register with your Baylor account and you are good to go. But I would highly encourage you guys. Are there any questions about this, or do we need to do more searches to kind of get a feel for it? It's pretty straightforward, but just want to make sure we have it all covered. Okay, if not, we will move along. Does anybody know how to get this yellow line gone, maybe? Let's see. I don't know. Okay, next one we're going to look at is called Job Scan. So this part, if you guys are not aware, this might blow your mind a little bit, but don't be overwhelmed. It's going to be fine. So we, hold on, let me read this real quick. Okay, perfect, Caitlin. I will get that over to you. Okay, Job Scan. So whenever you guys upload your resume onto, whether it's an internship or a fellowship or a job, whenever you upload that, and generally goes to an applicant tracking system, which we will call ATS for the sake of time. So ATS, we basically, whenever you upload that application, the software, not a human, is going to scan your resume versus the job description, okay? And then it's going to combine the two, and it's essentially going to spit out a number. So we want your number to be as high as possible. It is impossible to get a 100% on the ATS, but think about it this way. If you're applying for a job and there is 500 applicants, do you think an employer has time to go through and look at all of them? No, it's just not realistic. So what happens is they will take the top percentage of those applications that the ATS system is going to give them. So if you're scoring in the top 20%, then hopefully you're the lucky one that gets a human to look at your resume and you can get an interview from there. So how we do that is by tailoring our resumes to match the job or internship description. So it can be a little difficult whenever you're like, well, I think it's tailored, I think it's similar, but we have this tool, again, free with your Baylor account. And so I would write this down, jobscan.co. You don't need me to send you an invitation to this, but it is just jobscan.co. You sign up with the free Baylor account. It is super helpful. So we're going to kind of walk through this as we go. So JobScan is a tool that will help you practice or just help you see how close your resume aligns to the job you're applying for. So let's see, I helped a student with the clinical research assistant one. Let's pull that one up. Maybe. Okay, so this is what it's talking about on the match rate. So the match rate is calculated based on the frequency of skills, keywords, job title, and education level between job description and your resume. We find that 80% is generally a good match. So we tell our students we like to see it at least 70%. Reality is a lot of you guys are just kind of entering the workforce, so sometimes it's just not realistic to say 80%. But so here's what we had. So we uploaded this girl's resume and it was a low match rate. So it came back with 4 of 7 ATS findings, recruiter findings, so those were good. Skills match. So as we continue to scroll down, it will tell us like, hey, here's what we think you should add to be a better match for this position. So some of them are silly, like if you've never been a clinical research assistant before, then this, and it's not on your resume, then this is going to pop up. And there's nothing we can do about that. If you don't have the experience, you don't have it, and that's okay. Don't let the red X's freak you out. So, but it says you are missing 8 important high value skills. So again, we scroll down and it's going to tell us what those are and how we can incorporate those into our resume, which is super helpful. So everything else looks good. The template, the formatting, date formatting, everything was easy to read. Word count, job level match. These are all good. It'll even tell you the tone of your resume. Isn't that nifty? So education, it found your education. So then here's where we get into the interesting part. So it's going to look at skills comparison and how many times you had it on your resume versus the job description. So, and then this is where you get crafty, but still have to work to make your resume legible. So these words were not found on the resume pretty much at all. So, and it is saying like, hey, these are in the job description. So having these words on your resume somewhere, like as you have that experience, like that would be helpful. So some words, it's pretty easy to incorporate them into your resume. Like, especially whenever we get into the soft skills, like I can bet that it would be easy to find a place to put collaborate or consistent into something on your resume, right? Whether we're just like editing details or like substituting other words, there are for sure ways to kind of go about it just to boost your score a little bit. Other keywords that are on here, again, it just kind of gives you all the things. So sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's like not, but then actually it's going to give you some jobs that are based on your resume that you might be interested in. So that's kind of cool. But and you can always go back and like rescan it as you work on your resume. Let me see if I have another one that is a little matched up a little better. Let's see. How do I still don't know how to get the yellow line to go. I'm sorry. Let's see, eraser. Great, cool. All right, I should have done that a long time ago. Sorry. Okay, let's see if I've got some other ones on here. Total scans, create new. Okay, so I don't know where my other scans are, but this is essentially what it looks like. You will literally just copy and paste your resume here, and then you will copy and paste the job description. So notice that it says exclude the about the company section, but do include the job title, and then scan it, and it will kind of pop out some results there. And if you would like to make your resume searchable for recruiters, you have all the power in the world to do that as well. So here's some other useful tips and tools. Again, this is for sure just a helpful thing. And even as you guys go into like eventually alumni of Baylor, I would change this to your alumni email address just so you can keep accessing it, because it is that helpful in these scans. We had a girl, and I know I've been talking about UT Southwestern a lot. We've been working with them a lot lately, but we had a girl that had been applying with them all summer, like could not get a call back. She finally calls into the Career Center, and we work on her resume. We start matching it up a little. I'm not kidding you guys. Within 2 weeks, she had a job at UT Southwestern. It was like literally just because the software wasn't picking up or scoring her resume high enough that she wasn't getting seen for those applications. And so things to note with ATS systems is they can be finicky. They are computers, they're not humans. So if you're adding pictures or crazy templates or different fonts and colors, sometimes you just can't trust that it will read it. So a plain black and white resume, short to the point, and I say short, not short, to the point, like nothing fancy about it, that is what's going to be your best bet at getting through these ATS systems. So I think this is super helpful, and I hope you guys do as well. Yeah, were there any questions on JobScan before I'm probably going to cover just a few more things, just little tips and tricks, and then I'll let you guys go on your way. Okay, great question, Kelsey. So when you're applying for jobs, is it common / a good idea to edit your resume for a specific job to have a better match with the position, or is this too much work because your resume should stay consistent? No, so we highly recommend that you tailor your resume for every single job that you're applying to. So whenever you're looking, like if you would like to put your resume on like a LinkedIn or like a job board and just kind of have it sitting there stagnant, you can have a general one, but whenever you're applying to a specific position, for sure customize it to make yourself be the best fit within, honest integrity boundaries. Like we don't want to lie, we don't want to oversell ourselves, but if we can make ourselves sound better based on our experience, or if you can speak more into something that you have experience in on your resume that they're looking for, that's great. We recommend that every single time. So you should have, if you guys are applying for like similar jobs, most of the time your resume will stay the same, but there should always be a few little tweaks or just word changes on for every job, just to kind of align better with that company. Great question. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to stop the share here. And then really I was going to give a few more just tips for timing, I guess, of the job search, and then would love to open it up for questions on anything that you guys might be wondering. But with internships, we generally, there's not really a timeline for those guys. If you're wanting a summer internship, some of them, depending on the employer, will start opening, or they are open right now and will end by the end of the semester. So a lot of those big employers, popular employers that you guys likely want to be with, those will start and end early. So if you are interested in hospitals or different medical organizations, if they are kind of a big deal, they just get such an influx of applicants that they have to do it early, and that's when you're supposed to go in. So if you have questions about those, please email me. But of course, there's still plenty of time to apply for internships. A lot of them will open in January as well. They may not be as big, or some of them will be. I feel like hospitals, a lot of them close either in December or February. So it kind of just depends. And they are the ones that really just kind of post on their own independent websites. So if you're wondering why, some Baylor Scott and Y isn't popping up on Indeed, it's probably because they just don't have a need to post there. So be sure to check their individual employer websites. Internships, it's kind of just a mixed bag of timing wise. So kind of always be on the lookout for them. In terms of school year, if you're looking at, there's really not a bad time to start either. So sometimes my freshmen are like, well, I don't want to get one yet. I want to wait until after sophomore year. And it's like, okay, great. That's fine too. I have some freshmen that are like, yes, I need an internship this summer. I want to build my resume. Okay, great. Like whatever you guys want to do. So I just encourage you to get experience at some point in your college career and to build your resume for whatever's next. So you will feel a lot better if you get to the end of your senior year, regardless of what's next, if you can say like, hey, I've got some like relevant experience on my resume, and it just goes so much better for you. But don't be discouraged if you don't have anything yet. Your student organizations, Burst is an incredible organization that is great to put on your resume. Different, publications or presentations that you guys have done. So even if it's not a job experience, it's still highly relevant to what you guys are trying to do in the future. So always be thinking of that. We have people add class projects to resumes. That's totally valid. So yeah, I would just encourage you to get an internship at some point. And if you want more than one, that's great too. Like add as much as you can to that resume. So without overdoing it for yourself, whatever that personal limit is, great. In terms of the job search, we kind of have a wide array. So some students went to the career fair on September 23rd and they got a job that they're not going to start until June. Other students will, start that job search in January, February, and others will start after they graduate in like July or August. So there's, of course, opportunities, everybody's needs and just kind of desires are different in that field. Some people are like, yeah, I need to take some time off. I need to do X, Y, Z. That's totally great. We generally say the average job search takes about 3 months. So if you are looking to, start right after school, then whatever 3 months from that is, whether it's December, August, January, or May grad, kind of do the math from there. Of course, that's not a fireproof plan. That's just what we see in the Career Center as an average and what national statistics tell us. So at the Career Center, we help you. As you reach your graduating semester, we'll send you a survey. Please just answer the survey, or we send it over and over and then you guys hate us. So just answer the survey initially and we can help you. So we actually will send jobs right to your inbox. You tell us what and where and when, and we literally will send you jobs to your inbox. We can be super helpful in that capacity. So utilize us. And, but yeah, that is really most of the tips and tricks I have for the job search, but I would love to hear from you guys and just any questions that you might have or how we can help you.
So if you guys have a question, you can just unmute your mic and ask Ms. Strickland, or you can type it in the chat. Other than that, I sent the sign-up form in the chat. And just a reminder that our keynote speech starts at 4:30, and you can find the link on the Burst website. And Ms. Strickland will stay for a few more minutes if you guys wanted to ask any more questions about tips to landing jobs and internships.
Yeah, thank y'all so much for having me, and thanks for being so kind. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, but I will hang out for as long as you'll need me to.
Thank you.
Hey Jordan, I have a question.
Yeah, hi.
So if we wanted to like schedule an appointment with you to like go over internships or something like that, would you want us to try to like, I guess, find internships on our own before meeting with you, or could we do that like with you during the meeting?
You could do that with me. I have no preference on that. So if you have one that in particular that you want to like align your resume with, I can help with that, or we can just help with the search in general for different keywords, different, I don't know, sometimes the searches are just finicky. So being able to kind of toss some words around is helpful. So I don't mind at all if you're at square zero.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.